you feel it's difficult, that's the right thing to do.
This brand is a global brand. It came from the East by two brown founders, expats.
Women's wear brand, they've all been started by white male. We want to create a brand from the East.
Guys, firstly, thank you so much for coming out tonight. I think the majority of people in this room came from a cold email. And to navigate Dubai via a cold email saying, hey, we're trying to build a community here. Do you want to come along? I just want to say thank you, because it's a massive commitment, sending a cold email and then sending a Stripe payment link. Like, I could have been anyone. Like, so thank you so much. Waj and Am, would you mind joining me? Can I have a round of applause for these guys, please? Wherever you like. Amazing stuff. So I'm just going to read something just to give a bit of scene setting for SQUATWOLF in case you guys don't know who these guys are. So firstly, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Like, to give up your evening, really appreciate it. For what began in a small Dubai apartment has now blossomed into a global active wear sensation, celebrated for its authentic community engagement and remarkable growth. So tonight we're going to explore the highs and lows of what it's like to be an entrepreneur. There's lots of content now because of that man. Can we get away from you, sir, Ethan? I'm just going to do a very quick shameless plug. This man has helped produce a piece of content that at the point of me reaching out, you guys launched your first episode of Behind the Brand, which is documenting the journey from day one. Amazing background material for me to sort of like probe and get into. Very, I guess, selfishly, I use this as an opportunity to just pull on my own threads of curiosity. And tonight I want to really like pick into three things, because all the questions that I sort of like noted down going through your background, I kind of like packaged them up into three specific areas. Firstly was courage. I guess moving here, life savings, into a business that respectfully you had no idea about at that point in time. You've got community, which is a huge part of what you guys are building. And then culture. I want to kind of like pull on the threads of those three things. So before we jump in, if you've got any specific questions that come up throughout the evening, we're going to sort of open the floor up at the end, 15 minutes Q&A, in case anything sort of crops up your side that you want to punch into. And by the way, use that as an opportunity to be like really, really selfish. If you've got like a very specific problem or challenge that you're facing and you think these guys can help, that's your opportunity to get some advice from these two. You guys ready to jump in?
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. So let me just pull this up. Funnily enough, I've actually just closed it off. There we go. First question, mention courage. In the docuseries, and as well as some of the other content that I've listened and watched from you guys, you had lots of self-doubt. And I guess, can you just take me back to the moments where you had self-doubt, that inner chat going on in your head, and then more specifically, what you did to overcome it and how you helped each other in that? First.
First of all, congratulations in getting this community together in such a short time, and thank you very much, everyone, for coming in and listening to both of us boring you over here. We'll try our best to keep you guys entertained, if I may say that.
It's a very, very humbling experience,
Yeah,
by the
exactly.
way. I never thought there will be so many people coming to listen to us. So yeah, thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much, everyone, for coming in. And we're really tired because we've been traveling the entire week. And this, like today, has been one of the days where you're like, you just want to self-doubt. It's like, did I do the right thing? So yeah, it's been one of the days. And I think you get one of these days every week. But I think when we were starting up, I think I was just talking to someone, when you're starting up something that you don't have any background of, so what we wanted to do is we wanted to tap into our passion, and we wanted to also tap into the opportunity that's out there. So how the idea really came into being was, I've been into fitness since I was like 17, 18, and always been going to the gym in my city in Pakistan, where very few people would go to the gym and still considered a taboo for some reason. I don't know why, but it's not anymore. And it's like, you're going into the gym and you're just trying to buff yourself up, and you're injecting yourself with so many things, which people used to, unfortunately, at that time, and still do do. So, I was really looked down upon, but I was really passionate about it because it was just transforming me, and it was just building all that self-confidence that, I thought I lacked as a kid. So that's always has been on my passion. So I did my BBA, MBA, never wanted to work for any big multinational companies, which was the dream of all of my friends. And then, yeah, did multiple startups with a few of my friends back in Pakistan. Started from like nothing and then grew to like 100 people in like 4 years. And then my better half, she moved to Dubai, and then she was like, she wanted to go for 1 year at that time. She was like, it's going to be a 1 year gig, and then we're going to get married. I'm going to come back and we're going to get married. But we all know that everybody comes for a year to Dubai and then never comes back. And I didn't know at that time. So, she just called me. She's like, I really like it here. Why don't you come over? So then I thank her that she actually convinced me to move, and I moved over here. Then we saw the gap over here because we would just walk into the gym and all you would see is people wearing Nike and Adidas, right? So I'm just setting the context, and then I'll come to the doubt part. So we moved, and then we just like going into the gym, we're just seeing Nike and Adi, Nike and Adi. And when you start following a lot of these Instagrammers, YouTubers online, you don't see them wearing Nikes and the Adis of the world. They're wearing local homegrown brands that are, really part of their sport. So if they're into yoga, they'll be wearing something like that. If they're into CrossFit, they'll be wearing that, etc. So, and whereas over here, it was all vanilla. You just walk in, it's just all vanilla. And we would order a lot from all of these international gym wear, activewear brands, and would wear them to the gym proudly. And then everybody would ask, oh, where did you get this from? It's a really nice brand, and I've never seen this logo in the gym, etc. And we started reaching out to all these international brands. And that's where the first moment of like self-doubt came in, because nobody replied. And one of the brands actually replied. They were like, "We're not interested in this region," and I won't name that brand because that brand just came into this region. It's like, we're not interested in this region, and it's like, okay. And both of us sat down. We're like, are we on the right track? Because we're thinking of something. We're not from the background, but nobody else is interested. Then we were like, okay, what if we combine our passion and saw this opportunity, bring it all together and try to do it? We started talking to a lot of experts. And unfortunately, the experts that we were talking to were all from these working for the Nikes and the Adis, because it's a very distribution culture over here. All the brands are international, and people would just bring them over here and distribute the hell out of by opening the shops in the malls over here. We would go and talk to these experts, and we're like, we're trying to do something of our own here. It's like nobody's gonna believe in the brand from Dubai, because culture over here is, if it's imported, it's good.
But at that moment, just to zoom in, and I love the spoke to experts. What kind of gave you the permission to then say, no, I'm going to ignore you, and then push on? Like, what's going through your head at that moment in time when experts are saying no, you have no experience in this space? Like, what's the thinking that's going through your head at that point in time specifically?
It's just, I think there is a moment in every entrepreneur's life, and I think a lot of you have gone through it, when everybody is saying no, and you have that internal feeling, what, this is going to work. I don't know why anybody else can't see it. I can see it. Why they can't see it? And then rather than going and doing the maths, because that's what you're taught in the business school, you just go and make the best business plan in the world and then try to prove them wrong through a business plan. We did the opposite. We're like, we're gonna try it out. What's going to be the worst that can happen, right? We'll fail, but we won't at least regret.
It's one of my most favorite quotes, which is, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. It's a Mike Tyson quote. And now let me just loop you in here. Part of the docuseries that I saw was you actually pushed Waj to say, no, don't go and get a 9-to-5. Quit your 9-to-5. You're an entrepreneur at heart. What did you actually see in Waj that made you have that much conviction in him?
So Waj started his career as an entrepreneur, actually. So he graduated. He had offers from the biggest multinational companies that you can imagine. As a kid, as a graduate, you would dream to work for those companies. He rejected those offers, and he worked with his friends and helped them start 3 tech startups in Pakistan. And then he moved to Dubai. He was working with with a fitness entertainment business with the founders closely, and he was having a good time. He was learning about Dubai and everything. So, but I always saw that fire in him, that grit, and I shared that, and I could just see it because, you know, we have been together at that time, I think it was 10 years that we were together. And now we are married 10 years, so 20 years. So most of our lives we have been together. So I know him really, really well. That helps. And I would always think, and I would think that for myself as well, like when we have this kind of passion, this kind of grit, and he works like a machine. Like his energy is just, it's so difficult for me to keep up sometimes, honestly, because he can just go on like non-stop. We started 8 in the morning and he can go non-stop without complaining till like 2 a.m. in the morning. And I have to keep up. And then obviously like I look at him and I it's contagious. You share that energy. And I've always been in a corporate world, but I always knew that I'm not cut for it. And I was, you know, being promoted and, you know, going up the career ladder, you know, and in any, you know, multinational company, right? When you have a successful career, you're being promoted and getting bigger positions and new territories and, you know, whatnot. And but I still had that fire in me that no, we can do something of our own. And how I convinced him is I asked him, what are your dreams? And when he told me his dreams, I was like, listen, you can't achieve those dreams by working for someone else.
What a powerful question. What are your dreams? Can I be really selfish for a quick second? Because I very rarely get the opportunity to do this, but I actually kind of wish my wife wasn't in the room at this point in time. How do you guys navigate running a business together and being married? Where do you draw the lines? How do
you navigate? Don't tell me.
Oh, whoa. I'm the interviewer here, Raj. Yeah, I'm not going to tell. Otherwise, I'll make this into a therapy session. What's the stuff that you guys do today to sort of like ensure that, I guess, professionally you're pulling together? If there's friction at work, it happens, but to ensure that doesn't bleed into the personal life. And this is generally a personal, selfish question.
So it's difficult. It's very difficult. And I was just reflecting. It was a thought in the morning, and we had an argument last night. We traveled back from our holiday, and at the airport we started arguing, and it was about work. So we don't have an argument other than work. It's just it's all about work, and it's so we both have strong personalities, right? Strong opinions, and when there is a disagreement, of course you get into an argument and it ruins the mood and everything. So it gets difficult sometimes, but then so what I keep in mind always is that, okay, what is the bigger purpose? What are we after? So if we keep talking about like, you know, like these things in a negative way, we are not going to end up where we want to end up. And we always have this at the back of our minds that no matter what happens, our relationship is more important than anything else, and more than the business as well. So that's what keeps us going.
Yeah, and I think it's also really important to understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. So we play on this a lot as well. I think if you're working with your partner, then I think what you really need to understand is what are the areas that he or she might like my support, and what are the areas where I should just leave them, because I shouldn't be like, you know what, she or he is just my co-founder, and I don't think like that. So she's just my co-founder, and I can just go and tell him or her about things. Because what happens is if I just think that she's just my co-founder, then I might say things and I might not say certain things because there is just that co-founder relationship. But what happens with us is, because we are husband and wife and we're best friends, and the context is we've been together with each other for 20 years. So we know each other like anything, right? And we're so comfortable with each other. So we often say things that you wouldn't say to your co-founder, because you're
with
like
no filters, basically.
with no filters. Yeah, so it hurts. But then, as Anam said, you have to keep that bigger picture in mind, because the other person is not saying that to hurt you. The other person is saying that from a position of love, from the position of care, because they care for you. They don't want you to fail, and that's what you need to really keep that in mind. If you don't, then I know that it gets really difficult. And I think she once quoted Elon Musk, and which was really good, and which kind of really inspired me. I was like, yeah, I think she's right. Which is like being an entrepreneur is like looking at in the abyss and then chewing glass. And I think it's just better if you have someone else to share the glass with you because you just can't chew the entire thing yourself.
Slightly less glass to chew.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
that. I absolutely love that. That quote resonates with me a little bit. I guess the thing I'm taking away from that is you can argue and you can have friction, but you can have positive friction because you're pulling in the same direction. And as long as you trust that that's part of the process, I'm assuming that's probably allowed you both to move faster as well and get the growth that you've had in the period that you've had. Talking about the growth that you've had and that self-doubt, just to loop back to that, what was the moment in time when you actually thought, you know what, that self-doubt is dialing down and there's a little bit of confidence or certainty in SQUATWOLF as a business, and you go, actually, we've got something here. Can you take me back to that moment, or is there a specific moment?
I think, feel free to add, Anam. I think there have been many moments where the self-doubt really, went down and was like, okay, you know what, we're on to something really interesting. I think the self-doubt kicked in when I think we were just not able to find any factory that believed in us. But we then found one, and they did samples for us, and they were absolutely horrible. And we were like, okay, we're not going to make it, or we're not going to make it. And then one factory actually did the samples for us, and Anam and I tried them, and we were like, wow, there's nothing like this over here, and this could really work. And I was like, okay, great, we're onto something. Placed an order, put all our savings into it, and then, as probably some of you have watched the video, we launched the website and nobody ordered. It's like, okay, you know what? Everything down the drain, nothing's going to come back. And then that one customer ordered, and we were like, wow, there's someone else out there who paid money to the products we created. And guess what? We knew nothing about this. And that person is willing to pay. So that then really gave us confidence that, you know what? I think we're onto something really good over here, and this could really scale.
And how about yourself? What was that first moment where you had a little bit of peace as an entrepreneur saying, this might work,
I think there have been a lot of moments. One thing that we used to dream of was having an office of our own. We would go to very nice, cool cafes. They're cool ones in Alcuz. And we would sit there and we would look at the architecture and the design and the interior design, the walls and everything. We will make an office like this one day. And it happened. It happened in 2020. We built our own office. It was a very, very cool office. We grew out of it, so we are not there anymore. It was at the rooftop of the Hill Mall, and the view was Atlantis. It was a very cool space. So yeah, it was very raw, very, very SQUATWOLF-y, you can say. So that was the moment where I was very genuinely happy and content that, okay, we did it.
I remember that place, actually. The first time we jumped on a Zoom call, I was like, where are you? This looks fantastic. That backdrop was stunning.
It was a COVID bargain. Nobody was renting anything in the mall, and we rented an office. We were probably the only company that had an office in a mall.
That's amazing. This fireside chat might feel like a bit of a roller coaster because that's sort of like the highs in terms of when you have that moment of peace, that sort of like we might make it. Take me to the other side of this. Take me to the other extreme and be as candid and raw as you can, because I know that every entrepreneur in the room is probably going through moments like this in their career. When did you feel like quitting? What's the darkest points that you've had in this business, and what pulled you out of it?
Where do I start? I think I'm on Instagram as well, so I watch a lot of inspirational videos, right? And everybody makes it sound like it's so easy. It's so easy. Trust me, it's not. It's not. So actually, the last time I felt like giving up was last night. But thank God I didn't. No, I think one of the toughest moments was when you've grown the brand. So, what happened was we started in 2016. We grew really quickly. So, In 17 we were selling in Saudi Arabia. Then in 18 we were selling in Kuwait and Qatar. Then in 19 we organically started getting orders from like all around the world in remote islands, etc. Then COVID came, and then we were like, okay, we're going down like everyone else in the world, and we're just probably not going to do anything. And then what we did was we just turned on the ads to the entire world, just trusting Facebook, because they said our cross-border solution works really well. And it was all pre-iOS update. So we're like, okay, let's just turn it on and see what happens. Next morning we came in, we had orders from 100 plus countries around the world. And we were like, okay, this could actually really work. And then just kept on growing. And then we came to a size where we were like, everybody was telling us that you just cannot go from where you are right now to where you want to be without bringing in the experts from outside. So bring in the experts. It's the same experts that were saying you can't do it. And now the same experts are saying, bring in more experts into your business so you can actually grow further. It's like, okay, great. We listened to them this time. It's like, okay, you know what? We're going to bring in experts. So obviously, naturally, you go out and start looking for like the chief product officer, chief design officer, chief creative officer, chief this, chief that. And it's like, and whoever we talked to, they were all like, wow, you're onto something really good. And we started like hiring few people. And that was one of the biggest mistake we made. Because when you bring in people, senior people into the company, and your mentality is you're bringing in people who have been there, done that. So they're going to come in and they're going to tell you how to do that and how to get there. But you really need to understand two things about those people is, one, have they been on the same journey as you're going through, or they came into that brand and became the chief creative or the chief etc at a place when that company was already established. Because if there's somebody not ready to go through the journey or hasn't gone through the journey, trust me, they're not ready to go through the journey with you, because they just don't know how to take that.
That's such a great build. Like I guess there's different points of pain throughout the journey, and you want someone that's got the pattern recognition of being there and done it, compared to have arrived at the top of the mountain when the mountain's been built for them and saying, I've got a great title here now.
Exactly. And then what happens that you don't realize is you start self-doubting yourself, because that person is just telling you continuously, this is how we used to do it at Nike. This is how we used to do it at Adidas. Why are you not doing it like this? But they forget something, that if we actually did it like Nike, we wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
If we did it like Adidas, we wouldn't be here. We actually did it completely differently. That's why we created and carved our own space out. So you started self-doubting yourself, and then you actually start listening to them, and then you're like, everything goes reverse.
Yeah, that takes a lot of conviction. An question. We've mentioned some titles there, as the chief product officer and some big senior hires that you might end up with at a certain scale. Take me all the way back to the very first hire you made. Like, who was that first full-time hire and why?
So I think it's interesting that you're asking this question, because that very first hire is still in the business. And he was he still is performance marketing professional, and he's still in the business, very hardworking. So we come from Pakistan, and we knew the kind of talent that was there, and obviously for a startup, you're trying to make things work with obviously no resources. So it was easier for us to bring someone on board in Pakistan. So yeah, he's still with us, helps us with performance marketing. Although you know how difficult it is, he's still with us and he's still helping us.
Amazing. How big's the team today?
104.
104. Wow.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the correct number.
I can only imagine during that time you have, let's just say, kissed a lot of frogs, made some mistakes. We all do. Okay. What are the biggest hiring mistakes you've made, and what have you learned from them?
So I come from people background, by the way, people and culture. And I thought that I was very good at hiring. And I was proven wrong every single time, especially for the senior hires. I think it's a lot of failures, and you get to learn every time when you fail. Only then you find out what was wrong in this one. And sometimes it's not the right cultural fit. sometimes is not the right experience. And most of the times when you're building something, you need people by your side who can understand what you're trying to do, who can share your vision. And it's very, very difficult to find people who can share your vision. Very few people out there, because you're actually looking for that entrepreneurial mindset and that grit that you have to share with other people. And if they have a mindset of 9 to 5, or being part of a big machine and they're a piece of it, it doesn't work. You're building something. It's the most difficult thing in this time and age that you're trying to do to build a brand. And if people don't share the same level of passion, it doesn't work.
And I think just one more thing. I think there's something that was really important that we learned, through these mistakes. I think it's really important what she said to anyone who's starting the business, is that somebody who comes in shares the vision of the founders, right? So we're not like egomaniacs over here that we're like, we're visionary over here, but we started a business, right? What happens is when somebody comes into the new business, like a young business that you've just started, they often try to fulfill their own version of vision through your own startup. And that's really, really important, that as a founder, you understand that you're bringing in people who share your vision and not bringing in their own version of vision that they want to achieve through your startup, because they just didn't have the courage to start their own.
And how do you instill that, like as a founder, to set the vision, to set the direction of where you're going? What did you do then, or what do you do today to keep, I guess, banging the drum of what SQUATWOLF stands for, to ensure that people understand where you play, how you win, and what you do?
Yeah, that's a really good one. We haven't thought about it. I think what we're now doing differently, I don't know if it will work, but let's see, right? We're trying it out, is we're becoming more vocal and confident of what we want to achieve. Previously, what we would do is we would have an idea, or we would be like, okay, you know what? We're just going to ask someone to create creative direction, brand vision, brand direction. We'll hire a brand director. It's like, go ahead and create the brand vision for us. It's like nobody else can create the brand vision if us not share it. And what we would often see is they would come and pitch back to us. It's like, this is what I want to create. And it's like, it just doesn't feel home, because it just feels like any other brand could do it. You just remove the SQUATWOLF logo and put another logo, and it would just fit them. So what we actually then became was like, we became vocal. So we started giving our own ingredients of, this is what we want to see. Now we know what we want, but we just don't know how to put it on a fancy deck, right? You help us do that. You help narrate everything. You help define us and sharpen everything and sharpen our vision rather than coming up with a vision. So I think that's something that we have now started doing. I don't know if you have anything to add.
One thing that I will touch upon a little bit is when we started the brand, we were young. So I was 26 years old, Waj was 27 years old, and we hadn't done anything. So the imposter syndrome is very, very real. And you can call it an experience as well, because you don't know. And everyone else looks like they're so much better than yourself. They know so much more than you. And especially when you meet senior people from these big companies, they intimidate you. And you feel like, oh, they can do so much better for my brand than myself. And then you self-doubt. And then, you think that they are going to save my brand, or they are going to build my brand. But it is so wrong. That it was the biggest learning that we had, that we were like, the business will close down if we continue to walk on the path that they are telling us to walk on. We are just failing, because the business has lost its authenticity, because we have been trying to behave like those big brands out there. And we had this wake-up call. We were like, okay, it's not working. And we sat down and we wrote the creative vision ourselves. So it just happens because you are inexperienced.
And I think one more thing, I think she reminded me of something really interesting, is whenever you sit down with anyone and you're interviewing them for a position that you think you can't do it because you're just bringing in a senior hire, what I have learned through my experience of hiring senior people is, if they come and sit next to you and sit across the table and make their job sound so difficult that you can't actually do it, you're sitting across the table with the wrong person. Actually, the other person should actually make it sound so easy that you'd be like, you were dumb not to do it yourself. Right? That's how it should be. Like, they should be able to explain, because I've sat across people, and I'm telling you, those people are not in the organization now. They would sit across the table and they would make it sound so difficult. They'd be like, we just cannot do it unless we get that person. And if you feel that, then actually you're not sitting with the right person.
I love that. That's a great thread to pull on. You mentioned people and culture is like what you do. When you're hiring, how do you balance skill set versus cultural fit? Like, how do those two things work together?
Another very good question, because we have made a lot of mistakes there too. So before, again, coming from a people and culture background, I used to prioritize culture a lot more. And I used to be like, okay, we are hiring for the aptitude we can teach. But again, after failing so many times, we have now learned that if you're hiring for a senior position, attitude is not the only thing that will count, because you can't teach a CFO how to do his job, or a CMO how to do the job. Experience, and the right experience, is very important. So it's, when you are interviewing people, you really have to weigh and see the job description. Does the person fulfills the job description? And the second thing that you assess is that do they fit the culture?
Is it fair to say then that it changes as you grow at different levels of scale? You look for generalists, people that have got the right attitude, roll up their sleeves, willing to just get the jobs done no matter which function of the business it lives in. But at a certain level of scale, you start to look for specialists. Is that the approach?
Absolutely. So when you're hiring for example, management trainees, or like young people who can, come in and do the executional work, a daily job, execution related task lists and stuff. For that, it's fine to have the right attitude and hunger in people to learn and develop and grow in an organization. But when it comes to senior roles, managers and above, it's very important that they know the job, because we want to bring people who have been there, done that, and who can help us build the brand and take us there on the journey that we are on. So yes, cultural fit is very important, but then if they don't know how to do their job, it won't work.
Exactly. And I think what Anam has done, and I think what really complements, I think she's from a people background. She's worked in the best companies in the world. She really knows what good and a toxic culture looks like. So what we have done is, now that we hire for aptitude for senior people, and then we shape their attitude through the cultural sets, like rules that we have created in the company. And I am really bad at it, that I would be really struggling to have difficult conversations with people, right? Especially with senior people. Like, I just find it intimidating. It's like I'm just sitting in front of someone who has 30 years of experience as a C-level executive for another company, and I'm sitting here as a 33-year-old, 34-year-old kid, and I'm just telling them how to do their job, how to behave, how to come on time, how to make sure you're on time on the meeting. And it's like, how do I tell this person that just please be on time for the meeting, right? It just becomes really difficult. But if you feel it's difficult, that's the right thing to do, right? Because you're finding it difficult because you're just trying to go outside of your comfort zone. You're not used to of having these conversations, but you need to have those conversations. So those cultural rules that we have now created, where we give the feedback, instant feedback, like this is not right. Just don't tolerate anyone that is actually trying to break that culture, and just call it out immediately. I think then you can shape the attitude, but you hire for the aptitude.
And it's basically we say culture a lot, right? And I think it's not very clear what culture is. So it's basically a collective behaviors that you tolerate and you don't tolerate. That's what culture is basically.
It's a great summary of culture. I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, so it's like a group of people. There are certain things that they tolerate in a group when they're working together, and certain things they don't tolerate. So if you don't call it out, what Waj was saying, if you don't call it out, that becomes a norm. That becomes tolerable.
That becomes the culture.
So I went and had a browse around your retail store, naturally, and got talking to some of the staff there, all awesome people. And one of the gents came over to me, a guy called Hamid. Oh, there you go.
Very talkative guy.
A very talkative guy. Yeah, he lit up like a Christmas tree when I went over and had a conversation. And I was like, what's it like to work for SQUATWOLF? I could tell he was not expecting that question to start with. But the thing I was trying to uncover is, one, what's it like as a culture? And two, when the customers walk in, how do they feel about the brand? Firstly, he feels unbelievably privileged because I think he was one of the first members of the team in the retail store. And he says that when people buy from SQUATWOLF, they are buying into a community.
Mm.
And community is a huge part of what you guys are building. It comes down to the branding. Sort of the squat being the most effective, I should know this, most effective gym routine, and the wolf being part of the pack. They like to operate in packs. How do you guys go about building community inside the business today? How do you actually, because I think the word community is one of those words that gets bounded about quite a lot, but like bringing that to life is extremely challenging. How do you guys think about community and how do you go about building it?
I'll start words and then you can continue. So when we started the brand, it just naturally happened that we used to hang out with the personal trainers in the gym, and that's who we reached out to first to do our photo shoots, for example. Those were friends, and they started wearing us. They started supporting us in the exhibitions that we would show up in the partner stores. So it naturally started, and we always believed that having people around us who believe in the brand is the real thing. So 9 years ago, there was no sense of community for gym goers. Nobody was talking to them. Nobody was, paying attention to the gym athlete. That there could be a community. Now there's so many. Like every now and then there's a community popping up, and it's amazing to see as well. That fitness is such a at that center stage. But at that time, there wasn't a lot going on with the gym athletes or the personal trainers, and they just came behind the brand. It was just so natural, and we kept the momentum going.
But why? Like, what was it about the brand that made them feel some affinity to it? Like, what was the So I guess branding's the feeling. What was it that you gave them that made them go, I want to root for you guys. I want to root for this brand?
I think it was our approach. We're just very normal, natural, nice human beings. I think so. Yeah. We're humble. So I think that's what people resonated with. Like it's just we would just reach out to the personal trainers and friends, and we would like, would you help us grow? We are trying to do something like this. Nothing like this exists in this region, and would you help us? And they would meet us. I think they liked us, and they came behind.
I think just to add to what Anam said, any founder has to be really good with storytelling, right? Because yes, I might be the CEO of the company and a co-founder, and she might be the CEO and the co-founder. But to be honest, we are at any given point in time, we think that we are the chief sales officer of the business, right? Because you, or the chief storyteller, let's call it a storyteller. Like I think that's what I came up with now. So we're going to call ourselves chief storytellers now. I think that's what you need to be. You need to be really good at storytelling, and that's, I think, what we have always been good at. Is whenever we go and talk to someone, we would tell a story of what we are going through, what were our challenges, and why we are starting this, and then come be part of something that's happening for the first time in this region, from this region, for this region, right? Let's try to be part of it. And we always have been, and we always will be, selling the underdog, the challenger story. Even if we become big, like we never talk about how many people do we have in the team unless somebody asks us, and we don't talk about it really proudly, like, oh, we have 100+ people working, for this brand. Actually, I would like it to go back. We have less people working for the brand, but actually the brand is bigger. So the head office cost gets lower, but we always are telling the story, the challenger and the underdog story. Is like we're there, we're a wolf, and we're challenging everyone else out there. Come be part of that challenge. Do you want to be part of that challenge? And I think we were surprised of how many people wanted to be actually part of the challenge. They left retainers from big brands, and they came in and worked for free for us, because they were like, you're talking to us, founder, to an athlete. nobody comes and talks to us like this. Nobody comes and pays us the respect. So I think you just need to just sit down with them and explain your story and explain the story why you started this, and you'll be surprised how many people would say yes to you.
And I think one thing that was touched upon is very important. I think being a founder has some magic to it. I think people just get behind your idea so easily if you just tell them you're the founder and you're trying to do something. There is this some sort of, I don't know, empathy that you get automatically by having the word founder attached to you.
It's because
Say
they know
founder
you're
first.
looking into the abyss and chewing glass every day. That's exactly why they have the empathy for you. Guys, I'm aware of time, so we'll ask one more question, then we'll pass the mic to the room for some questions. So get those ready. We're sat here in 10 years' time. I don't want to go with something like, what do you want the brand to be, or where do you guys want to be? What do you want people to be saying about SQUATWOLF? If you're not in the room, and we were all here in 10 years' time, what are the things that you want people to be saying about the brand that you've built? Each of you would be great to wrap up with this.
So I think if we are not in the room and they say that this brand is a global brand and it came from the East by two brown founders, expats, and it started in Dubai, that would be something.
And I think I would say the same. I think for us, it's about the legacy, because you look at all of these traditional sportswear brands, right? They're even a women's wear brand. I have nothing against the race, but they've all been started by white male sitting in the West, right? We want to create a brand from the East that the East is really proud of, that started from Dubai, took over the world. And if people can remember us and the brand in that way, if that's the vision that we are able to achieve, we like to say that, yeah, we were successful. Yeah.
I love that. And the reason I just popped my phone open is because I walked out of your store with Hamid and he said something to me. And it's just a testament to how well you narrate and storytell in the business. Because he said, I feel blessed to be part of this, building the foundations and building something bigger than Nike. It's pretty cool, isn't it? That's pretty cool. That's from a member of his retail team. Guys, thank you so much. Firstly, let's have a quick round of applause for these guys before we go into Q&A. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alina. I was really inspired by your story, and it's a privilege to hear your journey. Do you mind talking a little bit more about your fundraising journey? Did you fund from day one? Did that come later? Do you have any advice for, in hindsight, looking back, the kind of investors to look for, the kind of character traits to look for, any red flags when it comes to investors?
So many red flags. Yeah, I think we can probably push. A lot of it is going to come in our second episode that we're going to be releasing hopefully soon. So a bit of a plug. Watch it. I think we've been really lucky in our fundraising journey, but also at the same time, I think we've been also very smart if you think about it. I think so we started in 2016. The first round that we did was our seed round in 2017 because the business became too big and it was just impossible for both of us to continue to do a full-time job and also run the business. So one of us had to leave the business. So, she was obviously making more money working for a multinational.
Why obviously?
You're just a smart person. And then, and it was a really easy choice. It was like, okay, you're going to keep working. You can pay me the salary as well. And I'm going to leave the job first. And then we took a seed investor, and that was the best decision we ever took because those seed investors are still the biggest investors into the business because they came in not because they were like, we're just going to come in, we're going to make quick bucks out of this business and we're going to just have fun. I think you need to really make sure, it's easier said than done, that the values are aligned and that they believe in the vision of the founders, not on the trajectory of the business. Because if they're just looking at the numbers can tell anything. I am now expert for last 10 years. You can tell me I'm not a CFO. You tell me I'll paint a picture with numbers that you'll be like, I want to put my money into the business right now. Numbers can tell anything. Actually, go ahead and tell the real story and see if they still believe in you. So we actually, the investors need to believe in the vision of the founders, not in the business, how it's doing. And I think if they believe, then they'll be with you through thick and thin. So those people that the seed investor disrupt, they are now actually huge props to them as well. They're, because of their values, they're one of the biggest investors in this region now. Started from Pakistan, they just released $100 million fund, and we're blessed to be one of the biggest investment. And the second one was just a quick one was Aska. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so the second investment that we raised was Series A in 2023. And again, we were again very lucky, and they're very good investors because they believe in building the brand. They are not trying to squeeze every penny out of their investment. Their purpose is that they really want to see this brand successful. So they give the advice, the discussions, the topics that we are discussing at in the board meetings. They are all about how do we strengthen the brand, how do we bring in the right people, how do we invest in the culture, in the right retail locations, for example. And their view is always long term. It's they are in it, for example, for 5 years, 7 years, something like that, but then they're never thinking of that 5 years and 7 years, how do we make a quick buck and get out of it. Their vision is how we invest in things that will build this brand in the long run. So the right investments on the right people, on the right things, that's
Yeah.
key.
Our investors are the first one, and whenever we release anything new, they're the first one to order the product, try the product, and send us like threads of messages like, "This is not correct, this is not right, this is great," etc. So I think when you get that, I ask a lot of questions to your investors. We met so many people. So many people said no to us that we wanted as an investor. Thank God they didn't come in. And then so many people actually came in and wanted to invest into the business. So we then were very careful of who we bring in. We saw the passion in the business. We saw the passion in the product and the vision first, then the money. Because the money follows. It's the byproduct. I think where a lot of investors and founders make mistakes is, and we've made the same mistakes, that we think that you get the money first and everything else will follow. Actually, you do everything else first and the money will follow. So that's really important. And I know it's easier said than done. When you need money, you need money. So my advice to you would be raise money when you don't need money, because then you can raise on your own terms. Don't raise it when you need it, because then you will just be desperate and pick up on people that actually you will be regretting later on.
Great question. Fantastic answer. Thank you so much. Who else had a question? Do you want to pass the mic forward to Maya? Sorry. Quick note, by the way. So I know Maya, and I was like, "Oh, this is the date of the fireside chat," and she went, "Fantastic." I went, "Why is it fantastic?" And she went, "It's my husband's birthday." I was like, "Does that not mean you're not coming?" She went, "No, it means you've sorted the gift out." So happy birthday, Manoj.
He's here as well. I thought you coming over here was his gift.
Maya, over to you.
Okay, well, thank you guys. It's been so inspiring. And Adam, you've done such a great job mediating as well. I've got so many questions, but I'm going to keep it to just one. We've actually got about 22 employees, very humble setup. And what we've realized is the people that we brought on at the beginning of our company are no longer, some of them are no longer fit to take us to the next step. And these are the kind of people that we called up were friends and, will you come and work for us? And they quit their jobs and came over. So there's such an emotional tie, but they're just, I don't want to say holding us back because that sounds really mean. It's just that we know they don't have the right skills for the next stage. Have you gone through that? How did you deal with it? And I would love your advice. Thank you.
Oh my God, this is like deja vu. So I'll tell you a little bit about we met this guy. His name is Imran Said. He's a professor at MIT. And he teaches the course called Building Brands to 100 Million, right? So it's something like that. And he came to the office, met through the investors, the seed investors, who are still our partners. And they arranged this meeting and we met him. And the first question he asked both of us, he was like, and we are on the same journey, by the way. So he was like, okay, what do you guys think would be the biggest challenge for every brand, every single brand who's on a journey of 100 million? And both of us, we answered and we said, people. He was like, yes, but what exactly? And I answered what you just asked, like that the same people are not going to take you or unlock the next level of growth for you. This is the challenge. He was like, spot on. This is exactly what every single brand goes through. And it's natural that you will lean on people in the early stage who your friends, or people who, because you don't have a lot of resources, so you can't bring the experts, so you bring people who are like okay to do the job. And very soon you realize when you're, and they're doing a lot of things, right? So they're doing, for example, social media, managing the website as well, doing some sort of customer service as well, doing probably people and culture as well, everything. And then when you grow, you need experts. You want to go deeper. You want to bring experts on board who know one thing really, really well. And they hit their ceiling. And it becomes so difficult to tell them that, it's not working anymore. But we did it. I mean, we did suffer a lot, but we sat down with a lot of them. And yeah, they're not part of the team anymore. It was tough, but it had to be done.
And I
What gave you
think
the courage to do that? Like, was there anything that you? So I guess at that point in time, you're having to choose the friendship over the brand, the business that you're building. Like, what's going through your head at that point? And I guess what gave you the courage to actually pull the trigger there?
We felt very guilty. We felt we are very like horrible people. We are just selfish, and we are doing it for the business, and we are not being nice human beings. But then and we delayed it so much, and we suffered so much. It almost like ruined the business, almost ruined our lives. And then we reached the point we were like, this is not this cannot continue. We have to take the call, and it's going to be better for them as well. It's not working for them, it's not working for us. They are more valuable elsewhere. And they are working in other companies, and they're more successful because what we wanted from them, they were not able to deliver. But they're more valuable in those other companies that they have joined after.
That is a great build. Like, you're actually holding them back by keeping them.
I think, and you'll be surprised. Actually, to continue to what Anam said, we delayed it so much that actually now we don't have a professional relationship and we don't have a personal relationship because we delayed it so much. And actually, you'll be surprised that actually right now they're also thinking the same, because they want to have the same conversation with you right now. And they're like, how can I go to my friend and tell my friend that, you know what, I want to leave? They're thinking the same thing. Trust me. They're having the same confusion right now. And actually, you just need to be that bigger person and actually have that conversation. And before starting that conversation, just set the context and tell them anything and everything that I'm going to say from a place of appreciation and love. I have a really good relationship, and I want to make sure I continue to have that great personal relationship with you. And I feel like this, that, etc., is probably not working for you and not for us. What do you think? And I think that might make it easy. But you're not alone. We've been through this. We've made mistakes. Learn from our mistakes. Don't delay it. Otherwise, you're just going to lose them from your personal lives as well. And we have lost people, and which ideally, if you would have done it earlier, we probably wouldn't have.
And one more piece of advice: document everything. So if you discuss and document, then things are more transparent. So it's not lost in translation. You have it in writing. You have an evidence. So yeah, that would probably help.
Operational brain kicked in. That was like, document everything. Amazing. I think we've got time for one more question. Rich, you pick.
Go back left a little bit over there.
I really want to give this guy a chance.
Which guy?
He's keeping raising hands.
There you go. Okay. No, we're going to do one more.
We can do
we'll
one
more. Hey, dude. How are you?
I'm okay.
I didn't see you sneak in. Good to see you, man.
Okay. Lucky me. First, I want to say thank you, Adam, for putting this together. Again, you just keep outdoing yourself. My question to you guys have said a lot, you've covered a lot that like really, really resonates with me. And just like you guys, myself and my wife and best friend, we co-found our business, and a lot, but personal, but your journey and how you've navigated like different challenges and bottlenecks really resonates with me. So my question is, at that point of scale, right, where the business just went boom, like, oh my God, this is it. Did you encounter any bottlenecks operationally in terms of production? How did you navigate those challenges? Um, did it affect, for example, your delivery timelines? Did you have to deal with like so many returns? How did you handle your customers? Like just the whole 9 yards.
Looks like you started an apparel business.
Yep.
Wow. Welcome to hell. So,
Sorry, I know that is not mine, but I don't have mine. Well, he's white. I'm drowning right now. So I need you to please, like I'm begging, to tell me how to deal with this customer.
I can come and pack your returns for you if you want. Where do I start?
By the way, Vaj is the right person to answer this. He has so much of patience. I have zero patience to deal with the customers, and I'll be like, what is wrong with people? Why do they do this? They're not using their heads. Like, who does that? And Vaj will be like, customers. Customer is always right. You do this. So go on.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to live up to that now. I think, as again, talking to someone at the start as well, I think something that's really important that we did right from day one, when we started the brand, we didn't start the brand thinking we're going to be a brand for Dubai. Or we're just going to make, we're just going to be like, sell $1 million and we'll be rich and we'll be fine and we'll have an amazing life, etc. We started the brand day one to be a global brand. That's why we never took, actually, the first domain we bought was squatwolf.com and not squatwolf.ae. Actually, squatwolf.ae was bought just a couple of years ago. So don't try it, you can't buy it anymore. So squatwolf.com was the first domain that I bought. Why? Because from day one, we had the idea that we're going to make it a global brand. So when you have that vision, what you do is you set up everything accordingly. Right. So what we did was when we actually found the suppliers, we found the suppliers that actually could scale with us. Some of the suppliers that we actually took like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, are still our suppliers. Because what we did was do not think of your suppliers as people who's just going to make products for you. Think of them as your partners. We went in meetings, calls with them. We sold them the vision of what we are going to create and why they're going to miss out on everything if they don't come and manufacture for us. So these were the factories that were making for the Nikes and the Addies and the Reeboks of the world. We told them, come and work with us and we're going to spend our personal saving to order like just this tiny quantity, which is just blip in your P&L. And they believed in us because we sold them the vision. So we got the suppliers that were right and that could scale with us. And I know it's easier said than done, but get the right suppliers. That's really important. Then have the right 3PL partner as well. We made so many mistakes. 3PL partners that have just gone bankrupt. Have the right 3PL partners actually that can support your scale as well. And it might feel like, oh, you know what? I'm just starting a business. Let me just try to find a mom and pop business, and I'm gonna work with them. And actually, if you do that, that's the first mistake you made. You actually need to work with someone. If you're on to a global journey, or if you want to a journey that we are on, then you need to have the right partners. I think it's just finding those right partners. Honestly, there is no secret to like, okay, you know what, just change your return policy to this or change your delivery policy to this. It's basically finding the right partners, setting the right foundations from day one is what is going to make. So just go ahead, look at your portfolio right now, your partner portfolio, your suppliers portfolio, your 3PL partner, your logistics partner. Look at them. Have they been on the same journey with other brands? If they have, they already know the challenges that brand ran into, that they're going to help you and tell you that don't do this because this is where they made mistake. Right from day one, we work with the DHLs of the world to actually understand and learn.
And I think the customers over here are also very demanding. So we have a team of, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 10 to 12 people, customer happiness, both English and Arabic support. They are all based in Pakistan. So I don't know what level you are at in your journey with building the brand. But if you can afford, and we started very small, like, 1 or 2 customer service agents who would pick up the phone and talk to the customers and understand their issues. Sometimes they're, obviously being very demanding and unreasonable. But then if there is someone experienced who can deal with them and offer them the solution. And there are like multiple ways of going about it, like, you know, dealing with the unhappy customers. Sometimes you can give them gifts and, like, you know, have those policies built that can actually support your growth and make the customers happy and keep coming back. So yeah, that's another thing, that customer
Think big.
service is important.
And think big from day one. Honestly, that's the mindset change. When we started the business, we were also like, oh, you know what, let's just start small. We're going to pack everything. We did that, right? But actually, our business trajectory completely flipped and changed when we actually started thinking big, where we started building for future rather than building for now. Because if you build for now, you'll always be in the struggle that you're in, because we've been in those struggles. When we started building the business for future, our mindset just changed. Everything seemed like an investment rather than a cost. Rather than, I'm sure right now, it's everything's like hiring one more person is a cost to you. When you change your mindset, it will be an investment rather than a cost.
That's gold. Love that. We've got one more. We promised we would. We'll make it a relatively fast fire answer.
Sorry, it'll be super duper quick. I appreciate everything you guys have shared. So I had two, but I'm only going to ask one quick question. And I think hopefully it'll be valuable for everyone. You guys mentioned storytelling quite a bit, and you guys are chief storyteller officers. And so if you were to share a story to enlist us as a consumer for SQUATWOLF in a concise way, what would that be?
It will be welcome to the pack, because you're going to be part of the pack over here, right? You're just not going to be another consumer. Like you said, you're going to be part of the pack. And that pack thing is just so powerful that we use it in each and everything that we do as a business. Like Nike just does it or just do it, whereas what we say internally, the pack can do one better.
Yeah, nice. There is no better note. Guys, the two words that have come up today that really stuck with me, humble and grit. Can I get a round of applause for Wajman? Thank you so much, man. You guys have been amazing.